Monday, January 4th. On a recent Zoom call, we talked about an article out of Australia where an eagle took down an $80,000 drone, and then we saw this on a zoo program. These eagles can weigh up to 9 pounds and have an 8-foot wingspan. They are Australia's largest bird of prey. This past week, the sun has had a hard time breaking through the cloud cover, but it kept trying. It even snowed on our intrepid workers who are putting up walls on the second floor of assisted living. When the sun finally came out, they were able to pour concrete into the box I thought was a coffin, where the generator will be installed. As usual, little guy with the wheelbarrow shows up to get some concrete so he can pour the core sample and test for correct strength. It is a little difficult in a small confined space with heavy-duty electrical cables sticking up to actually smooth the surface of the concrete. Following day, they were able to dismantle the framework and have a nice smooth surface on the concrete. Skytrack stayed very busy for a few days, hauling off all the remnants of the pieces of the Skydeck. A second Skytrack stayed busy for several days, hauling pallets of plywood to do the decking or the ceiling of the assisted living rooms. Crew was giving me the heebie-jeebies straightening up these prefabricated walls at the edge, about 30 feet in the air. They continued putting up walls, whether I was nervous or not. They're a pretty determined bunch. Worker in green has a laser that shines up toward worker in blue, who marks for the next wall placement. There was an awful lot of muttering for this wall. I think, like they used to say in square dancing, your other left, buddy. This morning I awoke to a strange whirring sound and looked out the window to find a huge crane. Driver was busy shoveling dirt to make sure everything was stable before he started lifting things. It is hard to see looking into the sun, but I could tell that was a stairway coming at us at the end of the crane. Slowly, working around steel and 2x4s and barricades, they finally begin to get it into place for the next level of the stairwell. Way up high, a guy is breaking apart the prefabricated walls and shifting them down to the next worker. Near the atrium, a truck arrives filled with heating and air conditioning pipes and all the joining pieces. Walking around the east loop, I was preoccupied with the gorgeous blue sky and the puffy clouds, so I wasn't really paying attention when all of a sudden, all of the pigeons stopped clucking and shifting around to look at me. What, did I have two heads? On the north side, by the wood shop, I found the generator. It's that big green thing that looks like a city bus sitting on a black platform. Framers keep up a good pace on the second floor of the independent living apartments. Standing on the casita wall, looking west, I can still see a tree down the hallway with apartments on both sides. I think I may have figured out why Baby Whit has such a scrunchy forehead. He's never sure when his dad is going to kiss him with that scritchy beard. He is still very tiny, but eventually he'll be able to rock the seat we gave him. Isaac got with the plan and put a mask on his pony so it wouldn't get sick either. His baby sister Joy was very fascinated with the bear and the penguin, but they're gonna have to come down soon. This beautiful poinsettia is free to a good home. Just call hospitality at Nueva Vista. Okay, so one last nativity before people take down all their decorations. Halls may seem a little boring before people put up the next cool thing on their doors. Maybe this one could stay up through January. Happy 2021 to y'all.
Good morning from Independent Living. As you can see, framing has progressed considerably. The trusses are newly stacked up and ready for installation. Look, there on the third floor under the trusses, there's a porta potty on the third floor. I hope that's not permanent. There's more framing stacked alongside the building, waiting for the next floor. All these floors follow a similar process. Not much is new, but it's still interesting to watch. Hi, this is Jack Breyer. It's Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. It's sunny and 35 degrees. There's a skyjack and lots of more trusses ready to be lifted up to the third floor. Again, the south side lags a little bit behind the north side. I keep calling this the third floor because it's on the same level as the third floor in the 4,000 wing, but I don't really know how they're going to number the new 6,000 building. And finally, lurking at the west end and standing tall and empty and alone, looking over the lower floors, is the elevator tower, master of his domain. Now a Wilbur tutorial. Last week we saw how we specify the flight path for Wilbur. We put in 3D waypoints and Wilbur follows them in sequence. This week we talk about how we tell Wilbur what to look at and when to record and when to take a picture. The picture you see is similar to the one we saw last week, but it is a slightly different app. This one doesn't show the new IL building. This one shows the Wilbur flight path and also a set of 8 blue labels showing points of interest, or POIs. We specify these POIs in the same way we specify waypoints on the flight path, except they are not necessarily in sequence. Each POI has longitude, latitude, and altitude. As Wilbur autonomously follows the flight path from waypoint to waypoint, each waypoint tells him which POI to look at. As Wilbur goes from one waypoint to the next, he smoothly transitions from the view at the old waypoint to the view at the new waypoint. So, for example, at waypoint 4, Wilbur looks at POI number 2. At waypoint 5 and 6, Wilbur looks at POI number 1. If you look very closely at each waypoint, there is a blue triangle, sort of like an arrowhead, pointing to the specified POI, showing where Wilbur is looking. Finally, at each waypoint, we specify 0 or more actions. The actions at a waypoint could be things like take a picture, pause for some number of seconds, start or stop recording. Well, that's enough for this week. Now on to assisted living. Here at assisted living, framing continues on the 3rd floor. At the west end, more stairway has been installed. The pattern is that framing progresses from east to west. Also, lower floors are more closed in than last week. There seems to be just enough room above the 3rd floor framing for trusses and a parapet. As we come around and look at the lobby, we can see there's not much change, but glass doors have been installed on the lobby door. Now, jumping over to the back side, we get another look at the framing and the floor plan. And as we go along this wall, again we see that the west end lags behind the east end. Finally, coming around the end, we see that they're starting to frame in the end, and again, look at the new stairway that is installed. Most of the steelwork seems to be done. See you next week.